Hello everyone. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. It's honestly a less eventful time, so I'm going to go over basically January 2023 until October of 2023. So in January 2023, I was working for custody of my son. I still got him 4 days every 2 weeks, and I was debating about going back to residency or not at that time. Well, I was also doing some contract work through a company called Elsevier, and I was doing that while I was in residency. But during that time in January, my boss, she was like, "Hey, I know you need to make more money to pay for a lawyer. Um, you do great work. Actually got some positions that should be coming up, and in the meantime, we can get you contract work." So I was doing contract work. We had 2 hearings from January till October regarding custody. Both of them, they weren't concerned about my mental health. They were just because his Fayetteville was his home base where he'd lived most of his life. They didn't want to give me joint custody living here in Asheville with my parents because that's where I was living during this time. And so I was living here in Asheville and working contract work. It wasn't really enough. In March, I let my residency program know that I wouldn't be coming back. In February, I took step 3 and passed it, which made me eligible for licensure in North Carolina. And then in May is when I started my job, my full-time clinical analytics position with Elsevier. And that was a really good job. It was remote. I was working it. And then in July, I started talking to Ellie. About like, hey, what do I need to do to try to have more time with Zoe? And she told me if I moved back to Fayetteville, that she would consider joint custody and week on, week off. And so I prayed about it. I really thought about it a long time. And I decided that that's what I was going to do. And so in October, I moved down to Fayetteville, had a really rink-dink apartment, but it was fully furnished. So I needed that because I didn't have any kind of furniture. So I moved in October, still had my 4 days every 2 weeks, and was working my remote gig from there while, and then that's when I started going to the Fayetteville church. And I realized after going there that my ex-wife had been going there for a while. And so I was a little bit surprised by that, but I also knew that there was a lot of people there that she worked with that attended that church. And so while, yes, I wanted community and other believers, that's part of my motivation. My other motivation was honestly accountability for my ex-wife, because I knew if I attended that church with Zoe, they would see how good of a father I am and how much he loves me. And so I started going there. And then that went there through the end of the year. And my next video will be in January of 2024.